No, you don't need a green screen. It'll
They're
just take
right. You
wherever you
can do
got.
them in here. Virtual
This one?
background. I'm
Yeah,
going to be on a
this one.
leaf. Here I am on a leaf.
How quickly Sam
Here I
takes
am
over.
beside
That's
my
all I know.
daughter. Oh.
Man, I'm surprised you don't have the Michigan end zone.
Hold on. Just give me a minute.
There you go, Brian Cobb. There you go.
Hey,
I knew you'd never disappoint, Ben.
Look, I ran hard. We passed well. It's the press conference look.
Are you
Ben,
wearing
I want water and palm trees. That's where I was supposed to
this?
be right now.
Rondo.
Oh.
There you go. Local. I want
Hi,
south.
Pam.
Uncle Tom's cabin in Dresden.
Yes, it is.
Nice. We
Some
were
random field.
That looks natural, Ben. Really natural.
Like I'm right there.
no, watch out. Zooming with
With
my
your headset
volleyball
on in the
team.
forest.
Yeah.
Then no word
I was
of a
zooming
lie.
with my volleyball team earlier this week, and one of our friends who's kind of like the techie, she's the first one to do jib jabs, that kind of person. So she's always on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
And I thought she had figured out how to do the screen and behind her. But what had happened was her son had popped in and he was behind her and it looked like it was a fixed thing, but no, her screen just froze and everybody's like, what is going on? But yeah, it's lots of fun games out there. Hi, everybody.
Retro Suites in Chatham.
Whoa.
The Grand Bend Lighthouse. Anybody ever seen that one before?
Yeah.
I think you're underdressed. There's ice and you're wearing a Zoom headset.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like most of my days at the beach. I'm never quite matching what's happening around me. Some random country road. Anyways, I will take it all up. But that's the life is good. Well, thanks for doing this, everyone. We really appreciate everyone jumping in and kind of sharing. It's just a check-in, and appreciate our presenters, but we appreciate the efforts each and every day. It's been remarkable. Everything isn't perfect, but certainly things are. People are really making major strides to support kids, and we just want to say a big thank you for that. But I'll get out of the way and let everybody who's got the real knowledge start sharing.
All right, thanks, Ben. I think, Bree, are you going to be sharing the slides for us today?
I will do my best, yes.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I better press share first. 1 second. Okay.
Perfect.
I just need to push it here.
Okay. I see it. Yeah, let's start at the beginning.
Sorry about that. I was reading through. I was preparing.
That's okay. Okay, so I'll just start us off. So if you're just joining us, we are currently using SeeSaw. We were the S2 group, and we're just here for a Q&A session, a quick check-in. I will give you a big giant disclaimer off the hop here. We are learning this alongside you. So there's some questions that we were asked and we did our best to find out some answers, but some we are learning with you. So luckily we have our super good friend Pam who's going to help us out too as much as possible. So we will go through the questions that that were provided to us, and then there'll be obviously some time at the end if you guys want to ask something as well. All right.
And before we begin, we would like to do our local territorial land acknowledgement.
We acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. These indigenous nations, known as the Anishinaabeg and Lenape, agreed through their ancestral languages to the mutual sharing of the land, with obligations and responsibilities to the environment. Today, these responsibilities and obligations extend to all peoples. We
Okay, so just if you're joining us back again, same host as last time, Nicole Hooper, Tanya K. Niemhaus, myself, and Brianne Gordon. We're going to do our best to help you answer any questions you might have and navigate through this with you. And I kind of said this earlier. Sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
Oh, no. Just in this session,
Go ahead.
we're going to answer the questions that were previously submitted in the form yesterday. And then also we're going to open it up in the chat to talk about any questions that still remain. I feel like this might be kind of running for politics, and you practice beforehand some questions and you think you're okay, and then it opens it up and you're like, ah. So we might need everybody helping out here.
I feel like that's a very accurate description. Okay, where's my answers here? Okay, so can you record marks on SeeSaw? I think, was that Tanya? Were you gonna hop in here and talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So not necessarily in the sense that you have your Excel spreadsheet on there and you're plugging in marks, but what I used to do with my kindergarten class, and it's sort of transferred into my grade 3-4 classes, I always make my initial classroom, which I send out my QR codes to my families. They're attached to that one. And then I use my own, I create another class using just the kids' initials. I don't send any information out to families. I just keep that for myself. That's where I would write down any of my observations, my anecdotal notes. When I had my kindergarten class, I would make separate folders for each of the 4 frames. When I went into my other, my grade 3-4 class now, I just use the folders, like I'll use a language arts folder, I'll use a math folder, and that's just where I put anything that I'm noticing. So not necessarily marks, but more or less just things that I'm noticing as we're going. So if I conference with a student, I'll have my phone out in front of me and I'll basically just record what they're saying. The nice thing is that it stays with me, it stays private. I don't have to send that off to families. So you can make a separate class only using initials.
There are some added functions that came along with our SeeSaw for Schools. I don't know if this is the time you want to talk about that. Do you have anybody's live screen up for SeeSaw?
No.
Pam, I can put mine up if you'd like.
I can share my screen too, because I can
Okay.
navigate mine if that's okay. So I have to stop. If this is not the right time to jump in, guys, let me know.
No, absolutely. Sorry, I just cut out and I missed everything that happened for the last 5 minutes. My apologies. Something happened.
Okay. I'm just going to share my screen because with SeeSaw for Schools, there's been some new additions there that people might go like, "Oh, that's how I use that." So I'm just going to. So I'm sharing with you. I have a test class that I made up. So these are not kids that are real. Clem's my dad, actually. So they're all my family members. So if you could see my screen, very good. If you are, and I have a couple of classes, I'm going to start with kindergarten because they've actually been leading the charge on this. So you might notice if you're SeeSaw for Schools, you have the skills button. And for kindergarten, if you make sure your grade is K, you'll have access to the skills that are available. So I'm just gonna move sorry, I should back up a bit. So in your settings, it's really important for kindergarten teachers to have access to the skills that their grade level is K, not pre-K, but K. And with that, then you'll have access to the skills part. And so that will help you with tagging students with their piece. anybody else, and so because the kindergarten expectations have been added in, so the belonging, contributing, the problem solving, innovation are there for you. So you can tag them with a skill and then star them on a 4-point scale. And then that will continue to develop across. I haven't worked with this in my example here in kindergarten, so that's something you might want to play around with. If you are, I'm going to go to my test class here. The skills button still exists for you there. But there are no loaded skills in there, but you could add, you can rate your own skills by clicking on here, and you'll be prompted to go through. So if you wanted to write a learning goal for like language, you could write that in and have your own system, and that stays with you. So you can start having, that can be part of the assessment piece to go along with that. And that's where you get that star piece. So if people are thinking about, I want to be able to think about that, and that is not visible to students. So you can keep that to yourself. The other piece you can see if you're thinking about assessment. So I know teachers are so innovative that they've been making their own double classes with pieces. So, but you'll notice when you go to the folders piece now, your manage folders, those are all my folders for this there. But if you go back to a student, and I'm going to put something in the folders. Actually, I'm going to see here, class journal, my folders. SeeSaw for Schools has this private folder. So kids may be posting things and you put things in. You may wish to create something to put in a private folder that only the teacher gets to see. So there's no need necessarily to have that class that everybody's working in and then my second class that I just use for assessment. So some new things to learn there. So there's a skills button to help you out and private folders that may help you with your assessment journey.
Pam, can I ask a quick question about that? I was playing around with the skills myself, and being a teacher in, I think I've got 6 classes or something. I see you've got 4. The skills that I created went to all of my classes.
Okay, so I would double check on like when you're creating the skill, that you are like, what grade is it that you're using here? And then thinking about your class. So like I got this class, did I even, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. What is my grade assignment on that?
So if the
6.
skills are set to a grade level, then the grade level that I've set my SeeSaw class to should be just in line. Right.
So because it's kind of like, when we write a report card comments and we create comments and we've got like our grade 5 comments and a grade 6 comments, like it's a way to sort. So we talked a lot about folders this morning in our new to SeeSaw group and keeping organized. I would have that advice too with skills, is to be organized. Think about your grade level and your skill set to go along with that.
Okay.
But I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
And I don't want to share anymore. How do I turn this off? Did I turn it off? And is it back to you yet?
Yeah, nope.
Nope. Okay. Oh, there's my stop share button. Sorry. I seem to have lost my page. I've hijacked your meeting. Oh no.
That's okay, Pam. Hijack away.
So Nicole, would you like to speak to those slides now then?
Yeah, if we can go, if Pam can stop sharing, and I'll kind of, if you have SeeSaw up, Bree, or like I have my Hooper class open here too, and then I'll go like speak into those slides that Pam was just kind of mentioning as well.
Okay, so you want me to share my SeeSaw instead of the slides?
Well, can you stop sharing, and then I will just put my Hooper one up quick.
Yep.
Okay, so just speaking to, I just lost my class here. Hold on 1 second. Nope, not by one. So speaking to those skills a little bit, if you want to edit your skills, you're going to go to the wrench and you're going to scroll all the way down to manage skills. So it's almost all the way down at the bottom here. Can you see this okay? It's saying my internet is unstable, so we'll see here. But go to your, what's that?
It's good.
Okay, so these are some skills that I had created so far. So you can use your specific expectations or overall expectations if you're thinking about it in terms of assessment. I have one, add money amounts to 100 cents, count and represent the value of a collection of coins. These are based on grade 2 right now, and I have indicated the grade level, the grade 2. This one is a grade 1. And then if you want to add a new skill and you're thinking of another expectation and you just name it, you can put your code if you know your overall or specific expectation. If you'd want to do that, you just change your grade level here, math or English or whatever category, and then it automatically creates the skill and it will come up in your skills such as this, like that. Okay, and then if I'm going, you can also do your color scheme rating. So what it's going to look like, what you want your like 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s to look like. And then it'll be color coded into a chart after that you can use. And then you can also determine your rating too, but I'm diving into these waters. I have not used this for assessment at all. But if you're going to the journal and you want to tag one of these items, so I'll just go to this one here. You go to the 3 dots, or you can go here to skill. And you can search your skills, or you can tag a skill, and that will automatically put that into, tag it under a skill, or you can edit your item. But right here as well is how you can, I know someone had asked a question about folders while I'm in here at the same time. If you have created an activity or you've posted something to the journal and you thought, oh man, I really wanted to make sure that was in a folder, all you have to do is click that picture right underneath your post, and you can either pop it right into a folder that you've already created. You can put it into a private folder so kids can no longer see it. You can create a new folder and color code it, name it whatever you'd like, just to keep that all organized to view student work later. And here as well, you can go to that little teacher comment box. So if you are taking any anecdotal notes or anything, and you put that little, you touch that little, whatever it is, the little coyote or speech bubble, and you write a private note there, that is not going to, the students aren't going to see it, the parents aren't going to see it, only see, it says here, only visible to teachers. So that's how you can keep track of some of your anecdotal notes as well. So Bree, if I stop share, when you look into your skills after to see what it looks like once you've tagged your kids and put your specific expectations on those activities, you can look at them in terms of like a whole view of your class. So that's what it will look like, kind of color coded.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Okay, and then you can see your level 1, 2s, 3s, or 4s are indicated as different colors. So if you go to the next screen and you look over here, again, it's a different view. And up here are your skills, or I like to think of them as like if I'm doing grade 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever expectations. And here are your student names. And you can actually click on one of those skills. So if it was counting money amounts to 100 cents, and you click on that, you can, if you go to the next page, Bree, it will bring up all of those students under that specific skill that you've tagged it on under. So it's kind of handy that way if you plan on using for assessment. But again, this is kind of what I've just figured out so far, and I haven't actually used it and put it into practice. So.
Great explanation, Nicole. I just want to add to that, like, see how the color is just so strong, and that's going to help me as an educator keep track of things. But you may notice that there's little numbers inside each box. Do you know what those are for? Because I've learned a lot from our kindergarten teachers.
Oh, let's hear it.
So kindergarten teachers have all the skills in, and so you probably, as a kindergarten teacher, like have you look at things and you say like, oh, I can see belonging and contributing really easily. And so like when you go through your documentation, you might find on that skill that come from a problem, the belonging and contributing frame. So that would say I've got 5 posts. That number 5 would mean that I have 5 pieces of evidence about that. But as a teacher, I know like, ooh, problem solving and innovating. I have a hard time like documenting that, and like I have to make myself work to find that. And you might find that I only have 1 piece of evidence on that. So that helps us kind of say like, ooh, I haven't looked at this in a while. So I need to go and start looking at that piece. So I think from kindergarten, it's a really interesting way of looking back at your documentation to find out where you have lots of evidence or then where you may go next with looking for evidence with that.
That is a very useful tool. And you think of, okay, well, I'm often kind of gravitating to these kids or this child, and I'm lacking for that child. So that's really handy to see it like that.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And I think it also honors the fact that we're looking at formative assessment or assessment as student, like for learning, so that it's okay to have like multiple tries at it, to go at it before, this is going to be a new way of looking at things too, right? So we may need to have a few samples from kids before they get it, whereas other kids might get it after 2 artifacts. So I think it helps us understand kind of that path that students will take as well.
All right, we got, can you organize student responses? That was one of the questions we had. Nicole, is there anything else you wanted to add to that? Because I know you just kind of talked a lot about organizing work in folders and leveling and things like that.
Tanya, I don't know if she can hear right now. She said her internet's awful, but can you speak to that, Tanya? Because you said you organize everybody's in folders to keep.
Can you hear me? I don't know if you can see
Yep.
me. Okay. Yeah, that sort of kind of speaks to what I was talking to. That would be where I would organize some folders for for whatever subject I'm looking to get more information on, and that's where I would record those student responses. Yeah, I would just type out on my phone or on my device. I would just type out what they're saying, and then I would keep it in that personal file that I have on my own. Does that answer? Does that kind of help answer?
I think so. If we have any more at the end, we can check the chat about that. Our next one was around, if I make a template in Google Docs, can I post it on SeeSaw and have the kids access it on Google Docs? And the answer is no. If you do that, it'll just put it into like a SeeSaw format. So I had one of my teachers kind of work yesterday and try that out for me, and she said it just kind of takes a text and put it into a SeeSaw template. But I believe it's Pam or Nicole, one of them said they'd be better to make the template in the note tool. So if you wanted to make a template or like add it in, I guess it's a template for an activity.
Or else I guess could also, if they wanted to refer, like have their kids go to something, they could put, import that URL, like that link to,
Yeah.
and then it brings them to Google.
Yeah, using the link tool.
Yeah,
Yes.
but if you create something in Slides or you create something in Google Docs, and if you insert a live link to something right in Slides or right in Google Docs, when you upload that into SeeSaw, the links are no longer live. You will see like the URL, but the kids would just have to copy and paste it into the browser, but they won't be live links.
Yeah, the help
All
on
right.
SeeSaw has some good definitions of all of that too. So if
Yeah.
you just go in SeeSaw and Google Docs, and you'll get the information from SeeSaw help. But I think most teachers are finding like inserting a link and having kids go to the Google account. But again, that's another account they have to open up too. So that's another,
Mhm. Yeah, really want to limit the amount of people or things we're asking people to like click and sign up to and connect to. Okay. I can't choose students to assign tasks to. Do I need to create a group? I believe I can speak to this. I don't know if we want to live, if we need to live model it, we can. But basically, I put a little image in there. Can you guys hear me okay? Because my internet keeps cutting in and out all day long. So just
I mean,
put
you
a
can
yes
tell we're
or-
both in Corona, hey? We're just down the road
Yeah.
from each other.
It is not going great
What is
over here
happening?
right now.
I know.
So,
I can hear you
okay.
for sure. Yeah, you're
Okay,
good.
Okay. So when you create an activity, and you can see on this page here, like this is kind of our sample class. I created a homeschooling with mom account for my children and I. And so when I go to assign an activity, this screen will pop up. And instead of just selecting the button for homeschooling with mom, I'm going to select the button that says edit students. And then in there, it's going to let me pick individual students. Sorry, someone's showing up to my house, so my dog's barking like crazy. So in there, I'm going to be able to select individual students. So that's where, like, for home, I've just assigned things to just like one of my daughters in there. Nicole, do you want to go to your live screen and go to
Just tell
your class, and we can just
Sure, tell me what to
show where
do.
that is? Okay, so go to just like the assign activity screen. I think my groceries were just delivered on my porch.
It's a good day.
Yeah, it's bananas in here.
Okay, you want me to go to assign activity?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen? Is that good?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay.
Well, they're going to keep ringing, apparently. Okay, so just like, let's just pick any activity there is fine. Let's do that. Make a 3D bunny out of recycled materials, because that sounds super fun.
This was my
And when you
one today.
I love it. When you click the green assign button, yep. And then, so if you see she's got all these classes on there, she can just, instead of clicking Mrs. Hooper's class, to the right of Mrs. Hooper's class, it says edit students. So if she clicks edit students there.
Well, select the class first. Sienna.
No, because if you select the class first, it's going to do the whole class. But if you just individually edit students, yep.
Okay.
And then it's going to let you go in and just select who specifically you want to do it to. So you could unselect everybody there and just pick one, or whatever you want to do. So you can assign it to, yep, Cohen looks like he needs some work. Yep. Oh, Olivia, don't make us do any more work at home right now, please. And then give us just
assign
the
everyone
green.
except mine.
Not fair. And then the green check mark. So it recognizes that these are kids in Mrs. Hooper's class, but you can see it only says 4 of the students out of the full class load, which I think is what, 8 that we have. So now you're just going to assign to at the bottom, the green button, and it's only going to assign to those ones that you selected.
Sam, I think this is going to be so helpful for educators out there that have students that have exceptional learning needs.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
Would be really great for them. and our ELL popular as well. So teachers will be making some really intentional choices about what's best to share for their students. And this just cracks open that, like, we're really helping support students for where they are.
Yeah, because it's just, you know, you're just modifying something just for like a select group of people. So, and it's easier because it's all, everyone's just kind of listed right there, right? And you just got to pick and choose. So hopefully that answers that question about assigning tasks. And if we want to go back to our, actually, maybe stay live, Nicole.
Yes.
And our next question is, where does the work go when I approve it to their journal? So when you approve work to their journal, so they say they sent you something and you've given a little green check that you've approved it, it's going to go to that child's journal. So when they log in, they'll be able to see it. And it also will go to your personal teacher journal. So right now, Nicole's just clicked on her journal for her class. That's been approved in her class, but if Charlie was to sign in Charlie's own account, Charlie would only see the things that were approved on his journal feed. I did a little test with that. So in my own homeschooling with mom class, I assigned something to my kids. I had them go in and complete it. And then it came back to me. I gave the little green check mark to say I approve. I could see it on my feed. And then I signed out and logged into their account, and I could see that their work that I approved was also on their feed as well. But that was using the home codes, I should say. Like, we were using the home codes for that.
Mm-hmm. Nicole, can I ask a question?
Sure.
With the activities, we were wondering about if the activity, new to SeeSaw group was wondering this, and me too, because I don't have classes to work with. But like, if you assign an activity, it doesn't seem to be in the journal feed yet. When does it actually pop up in the journal feed? Is it when a kid actually responds to the activity?
It's after you approve it.
Okay, so the activities go out. So if I don't see it in my journal right away, I shouldn't panic. It's wait, so kids have to do something with it and I approve it, then it comes to my journal.
Yeah, and so in your tools, you can manage your settings so that you have notifications turned on that new items require approval right here. So I always turn that on because I don't want things just going to the journal feed without me looking at them. So I make sure I turn that on, and then can I maybe show you here to a different class? Okay, for example, there's red, see all the red. So this is where it goes. It goes to the unapproved posts down here. And so it won't show up into this journal feed until you have actually reviewed them and you have actually pressed, you either get an opportunity to send the activity back to them and they have to look back over it and fix whatever it is or add whatnot, or you can approve it, make a comment, and it'll go to their journal feed, but it will stay right down here with the red in review until you've done that. But I don't want to really go in because these are some work that students have done.
Okay, that clarifies the workflow for me, but thank you.
And also, while we're here, and I know we had some questions surrounding folders, and if we look over here at the students on the side, and if I click on Charlie, and he has, like, every student has a folder beside them, so we can click on that folder, and if you have organized all of your information into folders when you post it, it's all, or it's per student into these nice little folders. So I can say, okay, looking at my art overall, what are my observations, my notes, what documentation do I have? You can actually go into that student's art folder and it will pull everything in there that he's done in art to take a look at. So I think that's a really handy feature in terms of if you are organizing all and sorting all of your information into folders. Really helpful for you. If you're looking at patterning, you want to know overall how that student's done, everything they've done in patterning will be in that folder.
Okay, awesome. I think One of the other questions that we had, I don't think we've addressed yet, I've cut out a few times, so I may have missed it, was can you turn off email notifications? Nicole, have we talked about that yet?
We have not, but so you go to the wrench on the side here, and I have done that. So we're going to go to,
is it settings?
you know what, maybe I have to click on my name actually. So let's try
this. It says, you go to your name. Yeah.
Okay. I always get confused in terms of like when I go to the wrench and when I go here to settings to change things. Yeah. So right here to the gear, account settings.
Yep.
And then down here, email notifications. So I turned those off, or they are going to inundate every single time a student posts, parent replies back to you. You're going to get an email notification for that.
I need to turn those off for sure. I haven't done that yet.
I have, just as being a co-teacher right now, I have 4 different classes that I'm signed up with, and I was like, these need to go off.
Yeah. Okay. I believe that's it in terms of answering all of the questions that were pre-submitted to us. I'm just kind of looking through the slides here, and I think we've covered them all. So why don't we leave or open up the chat now to anybody that has any outstanding questions that we haven't addressed yet, and see what we get, and then go from there. So
I'll keep this open, do you think, Sam? And then if anybody, okay.
I think so, yeah, because it's nice to just model it live. Okay, I have a question. My class does not have home codes. I created an activity in the assign activity section, but I did not realize the families could not access it. Is there any way I can move the activity into the post-student work journal so families can get it? I have tried, but cannot get it to work. That's a really good question. Same thing. Do you know the answer, Nicole?
So I don't have a lot of experience with trying to move anything over. I do know I create, like, if I'm doing a video or anything, I create an Apple Clips. So I created this one today in Apple Clips. And the really good thing about that is you can save it as part of your camera roll if you're a prep teacher, so that then you can assign it as an activity, or you have it saved as your camera roll for those classes that don't have home code set up. So today I had posted to, I had assigned it to all of my classes that I co-teach. And I realized, my goodness, it's not showing up to the students. What's going on? And I just messaged the teacher, you don't have home codes, do you? And she said, oh, no, sorry. So I had the video saved to my file, so I was able to throw it right out to them. So I think if you are familiar with Apple Clips, which is pretty simple, a bit of a, maybe, takes you 20 minutes to learn it just by playing around, but it is a useful tool in terms of being able to pop that right into a class that has it, but I haven't found a way to transfer things over.
Yeah,
I haven't either.
Nicole,
I did the same thing. Go ahead, Pam.
Sorry, that's okay. In the new to SeeSaw group, when we were doing the tool exploration part, like the creative tool piece, we were creating things like, I would create something as a teacher and I was putting it in as a student's journal activity. And then the parent would get the notification that there was a journal entry put in, and then they could start responding by doing the task. Now, we can't use all the tools and bells and whistles of things, but we could still send links. We could, like I did a little number talk piece on it by using the whiteboard modeling and like use the pages. And so like, here's your question, but they weren't necessarily having to respond in SeeSaw. They were able just to do the learning piece. So if you haven't got home codes set up, like it just depends on where your family is. So that seemed to be, those of you that have been using SeeSaw for a long time, you're using as kids are creating the artifacts in their journal to put their learning. This was like, I was putting something in their journal for them to learn from. So it was kind of baby steps before the home codes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got another question here. When you sent the work back to the students, do they get a notification?
Yes.
Yeah, so, and when they log in, it'll pop up, right?
Yep. My own kids right now have that. that when they send it off, and then when the teacher replies to it, they get a notification, because I hear them sometimes, oh, Mrs. Peterson replied or whatever, right? So yeah, they do get a notification back.
Okay. We've got, once an activity has been approved, can I resend it, or can it be modified by the student and resubmit it if I forget to hit send it back? So I think that means, like, when a student submits work, and if you accidentally approve it, but you want them to resend it back, can that be modified after the fact?
Well, let's go to journal.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Can we try it out and just see, maybe one of our kids?
Yeah.
We've had, Bree, have you had one of yours do an activity and send it back on here? Is that one from?
I probably do.
Was that an activity, Bree?
When you say send it back, do you mean like that they've they've turned it in? Like,
yeah.
So I'm getting my language mixed up between Google and SeeSaw. So they press the check mark that they're done that activity.
Yeah, and then the teacher will get it, and the teacher can either approve it or send it back for them to make corrections.
Yes.
So I think our question is, if the teacher accidentally approves it, but they wanted them to resubmit it or work on it again, can they do that?
I don't know the answer to that question.
I'm going to go to my own daughter's here and get something that she's, oh geez, think I could find alphabetical order here.
Nicole, why don't you go to the
not there, that's
Mrs.
last
Hooper.
year.
Why don't you go to your Mrs. Hooper one, and I'll submit one right now to you, and you can approve it and then send it back.
Do you have home code set up, Bree?
For your class? Yeah, I can have a response. Okay, so I'm going to just randomly add a drawing and submit it. Okay. Charlie,
is that through an activity though?
I submitted a response to make an Easter bunny out of recycled materials to you.
So you know what, I'm going to refresh.
I can do it as well, because it was assigned to my daughter as well on your class. So I'm going to send you some gobbledygook.
Okay, so Bree just sent me something back as a student, and is that your bunny?
That's my bunny.
Well, my star rating there. Okay, so if I am going to go in here, so it comes in my inbox, and I get a notification. Right, so those two students have sent me back their work.
Wow, Bree, our bunnies look similar.
They really do.
Okay, and then I'm going to give feedback, right?
Say it looks great.
Is it a bunny running path?
I think I can see
interpretive.
Its ears.
Abstract bunny ears?
It's abstract, Pam.
So did you get something? Well, normally it comes up here though, and it will say like approve, send back. So I don't know that that went through properly.
But do you have your settings set up so that they have to be approved first? Because that's a setting that you have to have set up that you
on the Mrs. Hooper one.
Yeah, that's in the
this was my sample class. That's a wrench one.
Yeah.
Yeah, new items require approval, but it's not showing up like the check marks that they normally do.
You know what? It's because we did it from our teacher account, so we don't require approval.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and I'm not logged in under my daughter. So what's our chat saying here? We got I'm just seeing if anyone's answered in our chat. If someone knows the answer to this out there, feel free to take off your mic and help us out, because we're just trying to work through this and solve it. I have approved items, and once I looked at it, if there was something not quite complete, I just made a comment to check it over and finish, and the students would just send it again with corrections. We've got, yes, Kim, they can use the tool to respond when you send through announcements. Okay. So we don't know for sure, like, if, like, they can go back in and edit it, but the only way I think you'd be able to tell them would be if you sent them like a piece of feedback or a comment on it. But you can always go into a post at a later date and edit it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like I can go in, I'm in my daughter's homeschooling class right now, and she sent me this video, and I'm clicking on it right now, and I can click edit item.
Like in here. Edit item, like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll just bring it up again. So I could send her a note to say, please resubmit this. Like a comment type thing as well.
Yeah, with any of your tools here.
Yeah, I just don't know if you can resend it, like to, resubmit again.
I know one of my kids have got something to resend back. So I know you, as a teacher, you can do it. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
How to troubleshoot that right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can always find that out. Whoever is still waiting for the answer to that question, if you want to email us privately, we will try and find you an answer to that as well. If we can have a little more time to explore that when we're not live and jumping from screen to screen. Because I think once we can get into our like kids accounts and stuff and test it out, we'll be able to find that out for you.
I think too that in the SeeSaw that I've been using it, the people in the third group, I think that question came up about multiple pages of activities. Kids do one page and then they submit, and they didn't realize there's page 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Jen Gilpin answered that in one of the sessions. So there is an answer to that for sure. It's in the video. Those ones are great because I think they've been really back and forth with them. So I think there is an answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and I have examples there for the other classes, but I don't really want to open them because they are the students' work right now. So
yeah,
I'm just like dying to open it and see, but I can't. I don't really want to do that right now. So
yeah.
Michelle asked how students can make their portfolios. So Michelle, I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question correctly, but the student portfolios are automatically created when they submit anything into their activities or into their journal. It's an automatic portfolio for each student. I don't know if that's answering your question or not, though.
I guess it's just if they haven't created folders for separate curricular areas or whatever you want your folders to be, it'll all just go into one folder.
But if you click on one child's name, it will just be the things that are sent to the whole class or to specifically just to them.
Like here, right? If I go to Charlie and just click on Charlie's name,
then that's his entire portfolio.
It's this is everybody in the class under Charlie's. Oh no, it's Charlie's. Yeah,
it's just Charlie's.
And then if I go to folder, then everything is sorted by what he's done in folders.
Right.
Yep.
We've got a question here. Go ahead, Pam.
I was going to add about the student portfolio piece. So right now with you did exactly what answer the question. It's Charlie's portfolio, everything's in there. So again, lots of questions about organizing and having things by subject folder. If you're a co-teacher, you can have your own co-teacher folder, right, for that class. You might want to add your own name or initials to the folder just to help out with that. So like if I was a co-teacher in this class for art, you might want to put my name beside that, and that help organize Charlie's portfolio. With SeeSaw for schools too, like the portfolio is really the ownership of the artifacts is by the student. And so what's been great about SeeSaw for School, we have the potential in the future to be thinking about, can portfolios travel from year to year? So we're exploring that opportunity with SeeSaw for Schools. So really thinking about this as a student learning that we packaged up nice and neat and organized, and it has the ability to travel with them. But that's like for another year. Look at that.
Okay, I think we've covered them all because I see a few people helping each other out and answering other questions. So maybe now that we've gone through a bunch of the chat, if there's anything outstanding, do you want to send it right now so we can see it? Because it's hard to sometimes go back and find everything in the text or in the chat. But I feel like everyone's been kind of helping each other out and answering other questions as well. I'm going to run and grab my groceries because it's hailing. Give me 2 seconds.
Also, I had a question come in from a friend, but I hadn't got back to her quite yet because I wanted to make sure before I got back to her. But her class doesn't have home codes, and she's sending out activities on the journal, post to student journal. So Bree, if you can speak to this too, or Tanya and or Pam, or anybody else for that matter. But she would like, so say like a sight word thing, and she'd like them to be able to circle or say, or like interact with it in some way. But to my knowledge, they can't do that unless they actually have home codes and assign an activity, right? They can't use that as a template and write on it.
I think if they're going through the family app, is that how they're responding? I think so. If a parent responds, they can give their answer there. Can they attach a picture to that parent response?
So I'm thinking too, right? Is there
so
like
if they did the work on something else,
took a picture and submitted it that way?
Yeah, in the parent response. Yes.
And then I was thinking too, as a hack to that or whatnot, you could screenshot her site words and what she wants to do. The parent could screenshot it, and then their child could use the draw tool and send it back.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But in terms of like them actually using what she has sent to draw right on, you can't do that, right? Unless it's an assigned activity.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah.
That was what I thought, but I wanted to make sure before I got back to her too.
Yeah, and that whole piece of home codes, like we have to remember, yes, they're there, but we also have to recognize who our students are and where their families are. And so don't feel the pressure to use home learning codes until you feel like you are ready to share them with your students or your students are ready for them. I know in the new to group, there were some people that explored that, and they started with like 3 families that they knew they were connected and they had that kind of relationship back and forth. They can say, can you help me out? What does it look like? They started small with that before they released it to everybody.
Yeah.
Because if we think about our 6, remote learning principles, pace, familiar, all of those things, they should be grounding us in our thinking.
And Misty makes a really good point. You can send home those QR codes that you send home at the beginning of the year again, and parents can download the class app, and they can go, or the QR code for your class, and they can go into the class app and use the creative tools that way as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you have to be careful with the QR code though, because if it's like one QR code in the classroom, then everybody's going to be working off that piece. They have to be unique kind of piece. So just be careful, like when you're sending that QR code, be aware of what the QR code is cracking open.
But if it's the QR code for the class that the students can click on their own name, can they respond that way, Pam? Or are you?
But I think when we do that, like we're in the classroom and we're monitoring, like I'm clicking on my name, but I see Nicole and Brianne's and Samantha's, and I'm the teacher in the classroom and I can monitor that.
Okay.
Like that is not open at home.
Yeah,
but
you could very well.
Go into your wrench though. This is like, I don't know the answer to this totally, but if you go into your wrench, and if we look at how our students go to students and student and sign-in mode. Like when we were at school, we were using the class code with shared devices, right? Now we're at home. well, in some classes, there may have been a one-to-one device. And the only reason I know this about the Google email, the email at the bottom, was some of our people that were just signing in, that was clicked. So they were only able to add one student at a time because they didn't have email addresses for everybody.
So it depends.
But I'm wondering if that was changed to an email for a kid. Like right now it's the sign-in code, but now they use their email. Is that kind of similar to the home code? I don't know. So those of you that have children in your little made-up silver class, that might be something that you look at there.
Well,
so I'd be cautious about student privacy using shared code, the QR code, because it's really like that classroom environment, and that's not what we have at remote learning at home.
And someone had said, yeah, like if you have home codes, you don't, if you have your email set up for the kids, they don't need home codes.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So home codes are what, 17 days old now, so we don't really, nobody's really an expert on them yet.
Yeah. Can I just add something too real quick? Like a lot of these questions, a lot of us are still kind of working through and troubleshooting ourselves, but there's also the option of using your sample student or adding yourself as a student. If you have questions about how students are seeing things or how it might look for them or anything like that, like that's a great way for you to kind of test those waters out, because that's basically what we're doing. Like I'm just using my own kids as guinea pigs, and I post some things and then I sign in and see what it looks like. So just if there is something you're kind of wondering about, like that is an option for you as well to try. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a couple minutes probably before we have to let the next group on. Is there any outstanding questions left that we have not addressed? I think we've tried to get to as many as we can.
I just have a question about activities. Have you guys talked about the scheduling activities?
No, but I just used it yesterday and I loved it.
I know, there's quite a buzz about that. So maybe we should
want me to show
that.
people? Okay, because I was very excited about it.
Yeah.
So go back to an activity that you go back to one you already have created. We don't have to make it from scratch.
So we'll go to assign activity.
Yeah.
And to my activity library. And I have to say also, as an aside, I went into school and district and chose our district. And I was impressed at how many people are sharing their information for others as well.
So good.
That was very exciting to see.
Yeah, I always say when you go into the community one, it's kind of like going into Pinterest. Some of it's amazing, and some of it's kind of like, whoa, really? So
Alice and Kenny posted on there, and then I know there was some, I don't know everybody or if any of these ended up where they shouldn't have, but Mrs. Hazard.
The Sarnia, is it going to be like the Sarnia Bookkeeper, where we have like certain readers that we follow and I like all their books? So yeah, so pick an activity. Okay. And so I think this is good for those people that are like planners in chunks. So if you go in, I was thinking about it from the science aspect, like I might find 4 activities about space. So I'm in the creative mood and I want to do this. So but if you click on that assign button and then, pick who you're going to give it to. When you're, and so assign to your, click on the schedule button.
So down here on the left, schedule. It will be your best friend.
Yes, exactly. So you can determine when you give this immediately or the next button, and it's just like scheduling something in your calendar on your iPhone. If you can set the date and the time. So I know a lot of French immersion teachers one's an English teacher and one's a French teacher. And so I heard one class is planning on, like, the English teacher shares something at 9 o'clock each day. That's kind of how they're scheduling. And the French immersion teacher schedules something to be released at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so they're using this kind of post so they can automatically say, like, next week I'm going to put a reading activity, 9 o'clock, Wednesday morning. And here it is, and I'm putting in it, and I'm done. And that's just going to pop up on my schedule later on.
Yeah. And if you're working at creating a few things at one time, and then, you know, you're going back and try to, it just avoids having to shuffle through everything and sort through and then go in and reassign all that. You can just create it right there, assign it, and they can be assigned at the same time or different times. It's really handy.
I think you can see that if you can do that there. And as you're creating the activity, it's in one of the like options at the bottom, like more options. You can put things in folders. But if you click on that schedule tab, click
Right
on that.
here.
I believe there's a calendar there.
Yep. I don't have anything scheduled is the thing. Like if you had things scheduled in here, it would show up. But maybe if I go back and actually schedule it, you can see it pop up in there.
Right. So you will see. So that gives you we think of it going back to that pace about what are releasing to students. This may help us in managing that a little bit more, like the predictability, or we want to trickle it out, that sort of thing. So.
If there's anything else, go ahead. I'm just going to try to show what it looks like, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would actually go into just open up a real activity, Nicole, after you finish this, and then you can see where we can edit that after. So if you were creating an activity or something.
Okay, what's that, Pam?
So if you go back to an activity that you had created, to actually open it up. So let's click on the three dots down there. On
what?
Making a 3D bunny.
This one?
Go back at that.
And you want me to get into it?
Yeah, so click on that, and then and then click on the three dots at the bottom. The little on the bottom right hand corner, there's those three dots. Okay, so you can edit the activity here.
Is that where you want me to click?
Yes, please.
You want to go to more options?
So either this is something you've made yet, and then the more options piece, that's where you could get in there and add a folder.
You can add skills too. So you could go in there and add your skills.
So if you've got some golden stuff already in there, you can go back and do that. So what I love about SeeSaw is like there's many avenues to get at things, and there's no, like it's not broken, right? You can always go in and change it and fix it up later on.
I know. Yeah, like an oops is not forever. You can go back and those, or you can get rid, you can delete them, you can take it away. So if I go to scheduled now, it should show up there that I had. So this is now that I had scheduled that activity, and it's not going to post until, what time was it? 3:14 today. It'll show you that this is part of what you have scheduled for that day.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
All right, I think we should maybe head back to our slides and wrap it up so we can let the next people in the room. And they can get on their content. They're the frequent users to SeeSaw. It stopped hailing in Corona now, so. I think just the last section is we just want to talk about where to next. The newest memo that was released was memo 23 on the portal, which talked about how elementary program is going to have office hours. So you can just drop in, ask questions, share ideas. The sessions here, Pam, we did a slight modification of your slide there because I could not figure out how to, but so Fridays is the only time it's different.
Yeah.
I could not figure out how to merge, and I was like, no, whatever. So Monday to Thursday, it's 2 to 3, and you can see there is the different sessions for the different groups and grades and divisions and all that kind of stuff. It's the same Zoom room for the whole week, and the password is the same, LKDSB, all capitals. So feel free to join us if you have questions, if you want to share something cool. We are happy to hear it and see it, especially because then others can hear it and see it. Yeah, so I think we're going to start those next week, with it being Easter Monday on Monday. The primary and SeeSaw session is up first, which turns out it's us. So don't know how we got that end of the stick, but we did.
And it's a nice opportunity.
So we will be Tuesday ready at 2 o'clock for any questions.
Yeah, a nice opportunity to get a bunch of people in that division together to share ideas too.
Yeah, absolutely. So other than that, I think that's it. So thanks for joining us. And